Welcome to Whisperings from the Rowan Tree, where mysteries meet gentle wisdom and soothe the soul. I'm your guide, Gay, sharing the tales of Nell Rowan, a woman of quiet wit, intuition, and a gift for seeing what lies beneath the surface. Each episode offers not just a mystery, but a moment of calm. Stories woven with English folklore, tarot, and the everyday magic of village life. If you enjoy slow storytelling, cozy mysteries, and healing reflections, you're in the right place. Today's tale is The Missing Recipe Book. A beloved cook's handwritten book of recipes vanishes just before the church fete. It isn't ancient or haunted, it's simply gone. Yet its absence stirs old rivalries, bruised pride, and the longing to belong. Nell must untangle not just who took it, but why they took it. The trouble began on a blustery Tuesday afternoon with a slammed door and the sharp scent of cinnamon. Agnes Plum stormed into the tea room, cheeks blotched, apron dusted white. "It's gone," she declared. She was breathless, clutching the counter for support. My mother's recipe book, every page vanished. The room hushed. Conversation froze. Even the teacups seemed to pause mid-clink. For years, Agnes's Victoria sponge had been the jewel of the church fete. Soft, cloud-like, filled with raspberry jam. The secret was her late mother's handwritten recipe, bound in a plain cloth, bookworm thin at the edges. Agnes often said that she could almost hear her mother's voice in the scribbled notes in the margins. Add more butter here, a touch of nutmeg there. To lose it now, just days before the fete, was unthinkable. Agnes kept the book by her bedside as if it were scripture, and yet it had slipped away as though the pages had taken wings. Suspicions bloomed before sympathy. Doris Nettleby, sitting stiff-backed with her knitting, sniffed loudly. "Well, how convenient. Now no one can test whether your sponge is as special as you claim." Across the room, someone muttered that young Sam Tripp had been spotted carrying a parcel into Mrs. Everleigh's cottage at dusk. The vicar, overhearing, sighed into his teacup. He had already promised his bishop a fete filled with harmony, and this was starting to look anything but. Nell Rowan, quiet in the corner with her own pot of tea, tapped her spoon against the china cup. She didn't speak at first. She only watched the unease rise like poorly mixed dough, expanding into every corner of the tea room. A book missing, and already half the village at one another's throats, she thought. This will take more than a lost and found to set right. In Alder Vale, the disappearance of a simple book could unmask more than missing recipes. It could show what lay beneath the village that has a carefully sugared surface. That evening, Nell lit a candle on her oak table. The room was quiet except for the ticking of the mantel clock. She shuffled her tarot deck and laid out 3 cards. The Empress, a mother's hand, nourishment, abundance. The 5 of Wands, quarrels, rivalry, egos colliding. And the moon, shadows, illusions, secrets hidden in plain sight. Nell studied them, fingertips resting on the Empress. This isn't just flour and egg, she murmured. It's pride and the fear of being left out. Someone is hiding, but not for the reasons Agnes believes. Someone has hidden more than a book. They've hidden a fear. The next morning, Nell set out and began asking questions. She stopped first at Doris Nettleby's cottage. Doris was polishing her silver cups from past fetes, lined up like an army on her dresser. I wouldn't touch that book with a 10-foot rolling pin, Doris huffed. Agnes thinks she's the only one who can bake, but my rock cakes have fed more mouths in this village than her fancy sponge ever has. Nell noticed the defensive shine in Doris's eyes. Rivalry? Yes. Theft? Perhaps not. At the green she found Sam Tripp balancing on his bicycle. He flushed red as soon as she mentioned the book. I did carry a parcel, he admitted, but it was just a bundle of papers Mrs. Everleigh asked for. I didn't look inside. Mrs. Everleigh, the widowed newcomer to Primrose Lane, newer to the village than most, was Nell's next call. Her little cottage smelt faintly of nutmeg, and she fussed nervously with her apron as Nell stepped in. Mrs. Everleigh was completely flustered now. I've no idea what people are whispering, she said quickly, but her eyes darted towards the pantry. In the pantry, tucked into a bread bin, there it was. The missing recipe book, the cover warped, and one page blotted with a tea stain. Mrs. Everleigh's hands trembled. She explained, I only wanted to bake something good, to be part of the fete. I only meant to borrow it, she confessed. I thought if I could bake something just once, I might not feel like such an outsider. But when I spilt tea over the page, I panicked. How could I face Agnes after ruining her mother's words? Nell closed the book gently. You weren't stealing, she said. You were trying to be part of something. The stain on the page doesn't ruin the recipe. It proves it's been used. And you, Mrs. Everleigh, were trying to use it to belong. At the fete, Nell suggested a change. No more single blue ribbon. No lonely crown. Why not let each person choose a recipe, she proposed. Bake together, not against each other. A tribute to Agnes's mother and a gift to the village. And so it was. Lemon drizzle, treacle tart, ginger parkin, sponge, and even Doris's stubborn rock cakes, all set out on a long table beneath bunting and summer sky. Laughter replaced rivalry, and even the vicar looked as though his prayers had been answered. As the stalls came down at dusk, Agnes pressed a folded page into Nell's hand. A Victoria sponge. Her mother's hearts doodled all in the margin. You saw what mattered, she said softly. Nell walked home under the violet dusk, over the quiet hills, the Emperor's card tucked inside the page. She thought how recipes, like memories, aren't meant to be locked away. They live best when passed from hand to hand, carrying love forward. Every recipe, she mused, is a spell of sorts, but it is the people who make it rise. So join me just in a short, quiet meditation and picture a long wooden table beside the shade of an oak tree. Upon it, cakes of every kind, sponge, drizzle, tart, fruitcake, some perfect, some crumbly, but all made with care. Now imagine yourself reaching for one slice. As you taste it, sweetness spreads across your tongue, not because it's flawless, but because it carries the warmth of belonging. Breathe slowly and let that thought settle. You do not need to compete to be valued. What you bring, however small, is enough. And when you're ready, return gently to where you're sitting, carrying with you the quiet assurance that love is always better when shared. So thank you for listening to the Rowan Files here on Whispering from the Rowan Tree. And again, if tonight's story brought you comfort, please follow, rate and share this podcast. I hate saying that, but apparently it helps others discover these calming mysteries. Each week, Nell Rowan's tales remind us that the small mysteries of village life can hold wisdom for us all. So do join me again for more slow storytelling, cozy mysteries, and gentle reflection. Until then, may your days be sweet, your burdens light, and your heart remind you that you already belong.